Hello everyone and welcome back to the 8th part of this course. In this video we're going to learn how to use different kind of parameters in our functions. So to start with that, let's create a function that returns the minimum value of numbers. So let's give it a list argument which are integers, and this function should return an int. And let's create a var curmin. So this curmin holds the current minimum value on every iteration. So vararg keyword does pretty something similar in our list here. Instead of using this, we can use vararg. And let's say nums, which is an integers. So what this vararg actually means is that we have our variable numbers of arguments of parameters which are saved in our nums, and these numbers are the type of integers. So in treating it with varargs is exactly the same as we treat a list. So let's try to access the first number of our nums, 0, and let's create a loop here that will traverse the values of our nums. And let's find the minimum value. If I is less than the curmin, then the curmin should be the I. And after that, let's return the curmin, and that's how we return the minimum value of the numbers. So let's try to access our min function in our main method. So let's try to create a var num is equal to, so let's call our min function. So when we access a list into our function, we have to pass a list. So by using a list of and bunch of parameters. But by using our varargs, we can actually put elements of it, just like when we put parameters in our functions. So now our nums have 3 arguments. So we have 5, 34, and 2. So the first element of our nums will be 5, the second will be 34 and 2. So when we try to print our num, okay, let's run this, and we got 2. So we can actually put arguments as many as you like by using vararg. But there's actually a pretty cool thing you can do with varargs. You can actually put an integer array to insert it into our nums. So the way we can do that is by, let's create a val r and set it to an int array of, not array of. So int array of. And as you can see here, when we write an int array of, it has the same vararg on argument. So in that case, it's pretty much the same. You can actually 4, 1, 3, and 2. So these elements here contains 4, 1, 3, and 3. So the way we can insert these numbers is by using an asterisk symbol. So let me write an asterisk and the name of our array, which is r. So what this does is that we are inserting these numbers inside our main function as an argument. So this thing here is pretty much equivalent to let's say this. We're just doing this, but we just simply use this so we just simply do this because it's pretty much simple and kind of useful in some cases. Now moving on, let's erase this. So the way you can use default parameters in a function, so let's create a function here, and let's say print me. So this function prints something. Let's say the first parameter, which is a string, and let's add a second parameter, which is a string 2, with the default value of world. So the way you can create a default parameter is by using an equal sign. So setting the value of our second parameter beforehand that's how we can create the default parameter. So we'll try to call print me in our main method, and let's assign the first parameter with the value of hello. And as you can see here, it doesn't give us an error because our second here doesn't need to have a value because we have a default value of it, which is world. So let's add a println function here inside of our print me, and this just simply prints the first and the second. So when we run this program, so we got hello world because the first will be hello and the second will be world. So because we didn't set it, it will just have the value of world. But if we want to modify the value of our default parameter, then we can just add another argument and give it a value of devs, say devs, and we try to run our program again. It gives us hello devs. So it's not world anymore, it's devs because we modified its value by adding another argument. Now if you came in a situation where you don't know the order of the parameters and you just only know the name, let's say let's create a new parameter here with last, the string type, and this. So if you want this hello to be first, then we have to name the first parameter here. So try to manually. So the way you can specifically assign a value to our parameter is by naming it when we call its own function. So the way we can specifically assign a value to our parameter is by calling its name, and after that would be equal sign and the value itself. So now let's give it gives us an error. So now let's try to give last as a value of exclamation point, and what it does, just put this last here. There you go. So try to name these parameters and not in their order, then we have to name every element that doesn't have a name. So let's have second will be string, and second will have the value of depth. So when we try to run this, we got hello devs and an exclamation point. So that's how you deal with named parameters. You just specifically assign the value of them if you don't know the order of the arguments in your method that you're calling with. So that's pretty much it in this video. I hope you learned something. See you and goodbye.